The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, Ted, down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. That's not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
The top three here, Hamilton, Vettel, Verstappen, 13 world championships between them. Count them, Ted, down to you. Yeah, well, 7 for Hamilton, 4 for Vettel, 2 for Verstappen, 13, that makes 13. That's not too shabby.
In a few moments' time, we have the green flag, and in front of a capacity crowd, 5 lights are on. It's lights out, away we go. Verstappen does get away well.
Hello all and welcome in to WHF Tier 1. I'm WHFR, your host for this evening, and we're here for round 2 in the Tier 1 calendar. We're here in Singapore. Welcome in, as D Summers says, yippee, as Hitman has lagged out, so we'll try and get him back in again, as we do have a full grid of 20 drivers, as my game almost crashed, so I got a bit scared there. We'll try and get him back in again. Hopefully Hitman doesn't have too much more issues with his lag, but Rio Harris is the first driver out there, and last time out Rio did say he was one of the favourites as Hitman does rejoin us. I just need to not use the controller because it's terrible. Thank you for the D Summers. Welcome into the stream. Welcome in, one and all. For those of you that missed last time, we just hit 1,000 followers on Twitch, so thank you all for who watches and participates in WHF, as we'll go on board the Mercedes drivers of Rio Harris for this first lap of Singapore. And what kind of lap time could be the benchmark, as the Mercedes driver will be first round as he chucks it through turn 1, 2 and 3, and a little wobble on exit even before he got to 4, and through the long right-hander turn 5. Foot to the floor, but Rio losing a bit of time exiting turn 3, but heavy on the brakes now down through turn 6, and a really tricky tight braking zone through 8 and 9. And as we go through the Singapore sling, through 10 and 11 and 12, which are really tricky on this game, I found, really on the limit of the grip as you head through this left-hander of 13, 11 and 12, very grip limited corners as we see Rio cook the rears exiting 13, goes through the right-hander of 14 and 15, which is a flat left-hander, and then you've got the chicane of 16 and 17, and then to finish the lap it's the double left-hander of 18 and 19, but they're basically the same corner in F1 car. Relatively flat in qualifying, and Rio sets a 27.9 as his banker to start here, as Cookie invalid, who is going to be the next driver we can go on board with and see who's on a lap. Gordon rounding the final corners. Thore crosses the line with a 29.8, Gordon with a 29.0. We've got the Red Bull of Get On Xbox. Is what did I just see? Thore went spinning around there as Get On win, just I believe starting another lap here. We've got the other Mercedes of TJ. Where is he? Thore's got a 5-place grid penalty for causing a collision with Nis. And I don't even know where Nis is. Nis is on his outlap. Did he get any damage? Did Nis? I don't believe so, just letting through a couple of cars, but the V-Carb coming together with what was supposed to be his teammate as TJ goes up to P3, Hassan up to P2, 2/10 off Rio. Trixie next to start a lap. Well, I think we'll follow Cookie, who's further along in his lap. One last time out in Austria reversed, and now we head to Singapore for another difficult challenge here. And Cookie says Singapore is one of his worst circuits, but will he be able to counteract that as a big crunch of the wall there? Did he get any damage through the left-hander? I think he just avoided damage on the left end plate as Cookie now charging down the back straight, maybe get a little bit of a tow from the Alpine going slow, and charges through the final sector using way more curb than we've seen Rio used earlier at turn 14. And Hassan on debut for Alpine with a 28.1, very strong lap time for him so far. Get On Xbox into the 28s as rounding the final corner, Cookie up to the line. It's a 27.476, 5/10 clear of Rio Harris, and that is a strong start to qualifying for Cookie. As Trixie around next has the Aston Martin up ahead of him, who could have been blocking his lap, not quite sure. Trixie just 4 thousandths shy of Rio Harris. Next we've got Nis. I believe he'll be the driver to watch, although he's not long left on the lap, as Akko be the next driver to watch in the McLaren. Goes a bit wide of turn 16, struggling for grip, exiting turn 17. And Akko now rounding the final corner, does a 28.2. Good lap there from Akko, but we've got big gaps here early on in qualifying here in Singapore as Hitman rounds the final corner. What kind of lap time can he do? Hitman up to P4 with a 28.0. Beautiful lap time there for the Ferrari driver as Nis heading through the exit of turn 14. Zampa says, what is Cookie smoking? I'm sure a lot of people would like to know. As Nis, a bit of a loose rear through turn 17, foot to the floor. 3:18 and 19, and up to the line goes P3. We also seen Rio Harris improve there to a 27.5, so not far off Cookie, but Cookie still has the advantage by a 10th up at the front. As Ty now, I think on an in-lap. We've got Akko also on an in-lap. Hitman's on an in-lap, so is Trixie, Nis and Rio. Kodomatic on his Tier 1 debut this season. Tier 2 champion. Had a dominant win in Singapore last season in Tier 2. And can he use the pace that he's shown in Tier 2 last season as he heads up to Tier 1? Could Kodomatic show the pace that he had, although Kodomatic says he would like the rain because last season was a very wet season in Tier 2, and Kodomatic is definitely a very quick driver in the wet, so definitely got the benefit of driving in the wet last season. But now that he's up in Tier 1, will he get the same benefit here? It's going to be a dry qualifying. Haven't seen anyone say it's going to be a wet race so far, so I believe it might be a dry race as well, as Kodomatic was a bit wide of turn 13, trying to get the car stopped and turned, as also Skiffy in P19 on a lap. As Kodomatic on the run through. As Legend says, it's wet for a bit of the race. Is it wet in the middle, maybe? That'll be an interesting part of the race, I'm sure, as Kodomatic goes P14 for his first lap here in Tier 1. We've got Skiffy next around, reserving for Haas today. Although, it actually might be Gordon on a potential lap here, although I think he's just started his lap, so I think we will stay with Skiffy. Reserving for Haas today, with Callan Antovic missing out today. As the Haas driver now foot to the floor and DRS enabled. As Thori has told me to look at a message, so I'm assuming Thori, I don't know if that's something that we can remove. Potentially, I'm not sure. If Nis agrees that it was a BS penalty, we may have to do a restart here. We'll have to wait and see to see if Nis says anything about it. But Star now the next driver running the lap here in the Williams, his debut this season as well. As Star about to round the final corner. And up to the line, what can the Williams driver do? It's a 27.8 to start as Ali has left the session, but hopefully he appears on my friends list because he wasn't there earlier, but now he is. But Truxie now starting a lap. Who else do we have on a flyer? Gordon a bit further down the road. Get on Xbox in the middle sector. Anyone close to finishing a lap? Let's try and see. Mallard in an in. Skiffy hasn't gone much quicker. Berlin just starting a lap. As Cookie flying through Sector 1. But we'll stay with Trixie, I believe. Well, actually, Gordon, I think, maybe the furthest down the road. Although, is he down on his Delta? I think he might be. So Trixie will be the driver we watch. Although, he's invalid. So I think it would be Cookie is the driver to watch. Thori, if you can send me a clip of what happened and I can watch it before qualifying ends, then, as the controller disconnects, lovely timing. I need to stop using the controller, instead using the keyboard, because the keyboard doesn't disconnect as often as the controller does for whatever reason. But Cookie absolutely hassling the car through the Singapore sling. And Cookie's out of the race! Cookie out of qualifying, and the Ferrari has got to avoid the Red Bull, who's going to be stranded here. There's no ghosting on, so they've got to avoid the Red Bull, who's just spinning. But that's Cookie out of qualifying here. Dramatic scenes for the Red Bull. And could Rio potentially snatch pole, or would it be Nis? Cookie, who was hassling.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
Hassling the car, and now it's a big opportunity for anyone to snatch pole here, with Cookie crashing out in qualifying. Although, did Cookie's car be in there cost him some lap time? Rio improves by half a tenth, but not enough time to snatch pole here. But Nis, 2 tenths to the good. Can he keep it smooth through the final sector? Nis could be on for pole position here as he rounds the final corner. foot to the floor and to the line. Ness does a 27.206 and goes quickest there. Quickest lap time for Ness as Cookie crashes out of qualifying. And could that be crucial for the race? We'll have to wait and see. I'm pretty sure Cookie will be glad he got his banker in when he did, because if he hadn't,
Mission failed. We'll get him next time.
that could have cost him dearly. But Thory, if you're listening, please send in a clip so I can see that you were not at fault. As Skeefy, I think, just completed a lap there up to P14. As who's actually on a lap here? I don't think anyone's really on a lap. A couple of drivers on in laps as it stands. Thank you for the subscription, Mallard. As we hear the sound alert from Ollie that Ollie is always excited about. But thank you, Mallard, for subscribing. Absolute G. Mallard racing for the Williams team, currently down in P16. But we pray for a Mallard win one day. A Mallard win would... No
heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
Yeah, if Thory does not send a clip in, I mean, there's not a lot I can do, because how do I know it is not just? Because you never know, he could have absolutely two-footed someone and we don't get to see. But Ali out in a lap reserving for Sauber today. As Nis says, he reversed into me, so I mean, if Nis is to be believed, then it might have been a deserving grid pen. But Ali through sector 1, almost a tenth to the good, and that he needs a bit more time to get ahead of TJ. There's big gaps between like Gordon and Ali. There's almost 7 tenths. Singapore is a tricky track where we're seeing the skill gap really show here in Tier 1. Almost 4 seconds separates P1 and P19. A hype train has started. I don't know how, but thank you for the bit, Zamp. I don't know if that has started the hype train, but we've got a hype train going. If anyone wants to keep the hype train going, please do. As Ali through the final sector, Skeefy retires in the pit lane. As Ali round the final corner, what kind of lap time can he do? Does get up to P10, gets ahead of his teammate for this evening of Gordon, and into P10 he goes.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
As Trixie cutting the track.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack. No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
I am stupid. I am stupid.
But who is actually on a lap as Stars retired from the session? He'll start at best P4. And Hitman on a lap.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
And I think Hitman's the next driver to improve here as the goddamn controller. Hitman into sector.
No heroics into Sandoval, please.
3.
We're in amongst the pack.
2 tenths to the good.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
I think I'm gonna have to disable the sound
heroics
alerts
into
at this
Sandoval,
point.
please. We're in amongst the pack. No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
as Hitman
No
around the
heroics
final
into
corner
Sandoval,
crosses the line, goes
please. We're in amongst the
P4
pack.
as the checkered flag has fallen.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack. No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack. No heroics.
Oh, that's a lot. That's a lot kinder on the ears. As Rio on a flyer, Nis on a flyer, Trixie on a flyer, a 10th to the good. As Echo on a lap. As well, who's closest to finishing a lap though is the question. I think Mallard next around. 3/10 to the good is the Williams driver. As I need to close this a second. And Mallard now rounding the final corner up to the line. Where can the Williams driver go as he crosses the line? It's into P13 as next around could be Nis as Hassan up to P4 as Rio got into P2 there in the Mercedes. Nis improves to a 27.0 for the V-Carb driver. TJ crosses the line, stays P12. Get on. Or that was Trixie into P3 as well. Gets just ahead of Cookie. Where can Echo go? Echo's backed out of this lap. So is Gordon. And I think that is your order for the day. Nis on pole ahead of Rio Harris. Then it's Trixie followed by Cookie. Then Hassan just 2,000s behind Cookie. Hitman in P6. Star in P7. Followed by Echo. Get on Win. Ali. Gordon, TJ, Mallard, Ty Claire, Skeefy, Stephen, Cody, Thori, Berlin, and Codzilla. And that is your order for this evening. Nis on pole, as I've just realised I forgot to open the app, so that might be a bit annoying. Hopefully it records the results. Zampa, no, Codzilla did not have a quali ban. He is just allergic to qualifying. He's basically the Dub-Z of Tier 1. Doesn't want to do qualifying. As there we have it. If buttons will work. Nis on pole ahead of Rio. 2/10 is the gap, so a very strong outing for Nis ahead of Rio, Trixie and Cookie as well. But let me just double check that the timing is working, as I'll ping the drivers when they're ready up, so there's no early ready ups. We'll be going at 8:30, so now you've got an opportunity to get yourself a drink, some snacks, a little bit of a pack of crisps or whatever. But welcome in everyone to the stream. As thank you for all the bits, Zampa, although it may have been very disturbing how many bits there indeed was. But get your predictions in the chat. How do you think this one is going to play out? Who will win? As Ledgeman says, it's wet from lap 21-ish to 26. And in this 31 lap old race, we will wait and see who will be quickest here. What strategies will the drivers go for? As I'll try and have the controller on, because I don't know how to turn on some of the things on keyboard. But the drivers now will be getting their strategies ready. And this is the point where I would ask the co-commentator, what kind of strategies are you thinking? And the co-commentator I was supposed to have for tonight left the server as we were in the lobby. So I guess I'll ask the co-commentator, and it's just me with a weird voice. I think it's going to be a medium hard. Probably box on lap 14. Thank you, weird voice guy. Anyway, someone's readied up early. Who was it? Who was the culprit? As hopefully everyone is prepared, because if they're not, we're going to have to do a lobby restart. As we will have the 5 red lights on here in Tier 1. And they're out and away we go as Ness leads us down into turn 1. Rio's gotten a decent start. Everyone's gotten away clean as Rio lagging through turn 1. Little bit of desync is in the background. Some contact with the McLaren and the Saubers as there's a yellow flag around. Big crash in the midfield. 4 cars involved, maybe even 5 cars involved. And have they all survived? No, I don't think they have. Big contacts, Godzilla involved. Yellow flags are out as major carnage through the back of the pack. Hitman down to P14. Kodamatic in the wars. Is a little bit of contact with Mallard there with Kodamatic as well. As Mallard going to get round the outside of Kodamatic, and Kodamatic contact with Mallard and the Haas spinning, but what a carnage. Opening lap there, Star down to P11. And a major controversy there off the start. Stephen with big damage. Get on win with damage as well. Ty with damage. And we've got a split strategy for a lot of the pack here. Half on hards, half on mediums, as Echo now on the rear of Hassan. Echo using the mediums here to try and get through on Hassan, and he's done just that. Meanwhile, Rio putting the pressure on this early here. Echo dropping behind this pack. Rio got to try and make the move early on Ness's. Trixie also wants to get involved in this battle as well. As Thori ahead of Stephen, who I'm assuming is coming into the pit lane, as Godzilla wants to get involved here as well. And I assume the pit lane will be filled with many drivers with that early lap 1 carnage here in Singapore. As Rio Harris now on the rear of Nis, and can Rio pile pressure on the V-Carb driver as the Mercedes driver going to look on the outside as they go side by side through the left-hander. And is there going to be contact? Rio leaves the road still side by side. Is the Mercedes and the V-Carb still side by side? We go on board with Trixie as they're still side by side. Oh, and Rio, bit of contact with the V-Carb as the V-Carb forces him out, allows Trixie through on the inside of Rio as side by side they go through the left-hander. Rio still there, more contact with Rio involved. The V-Carbs just barging their way through. And Rio, I'm sure, not going to be happy about that. Meanwhile, Echo on the rear of Cookie, putting pressure on the Tier 1 Championship leader, and Cookie makes a mistake through the left-hander, and Echo right on the rear of Cookie, trying to make a move here as Trixie right on the rear of Nis, as these two scored a double podium last time out. But can the V-Carbs yet again work together? As Trixie now going to take the lead on these medium tyres. Nis is going to stay in behind and use the toe off his teammate. And it's a horrible outing for the Ferraris. Both Ferraris down the order. Had to get their front wings fixed. We'll see. Can they recover? As time progresses, there's a lot of drivers there with damage who stayed out. So we'll see what impact that has in this race. Hassan on debut up in P6 having a strong race. TJ in P7 as well. Ali in P8 having his debut race this season. Has raced prior. As Mallard and Star, the Williams, are together, but Star with damage on the opening lap as Rio back on the inside of Nis, and Nis contact with Rio as they're getting sandwiched together. Rio on the outside, Nis goes deep to defend from Rio. Rio going to look for the switchback as Nis coming across the Mercedes driver yet again, and Rio trying to keep it round the outside but unable to. As thank you for the 5 gifted subs in the chat from the anonymous gifter there. Thank you very much. As Echo on the rear of Cookie, unable to make a move. Stick with Trixie now firmly into the lead after Rio and Ness having a bit of squabbles here as Echo clunks the inside wall there. And will Ness get back into touching distance from his teammate Trixie? Or Trixie just Trixie just head down the road. But thank you for all the gifted subs. Absolute legend, whoever that was. Apologies you didn't hear your sound alerts. We had to turn the sound alerts off due to Zampa donating 1 bit per second, which is just very distracting. But Rio now following Nis. Nis completely out of DRS range from Trixie. And it doesn't seem like Trixie's going to be offering his teammate any help here. Can Rio get back ahead of Nis here? As we start lap 4 and Rio right on the rear of Nis. And can he put pressure on Nis, who loses the rear out of turn 3? And can Rio through turn 5 get the DRS open and plant the throttle and get ahead of the V-Carb driver? Has he got a good enough exit? I don't think he's close enough to be going for any dive bombs on the V-Carb, but he's putting pressure on Nis here, who's trying to get back inside DRS range from Trixie. As Cookie just being patient in behind Echo as well. Hassan and TJ doing well. Ali trying to get in touch with this train as Gordon watches along this battle. Thank you for the 10-bit Samp. As Mallard on the rear of Star, who they've swapped positions, but Star still carrying early damage. Right end plate gone on that Williams. Is Star going to try and get caught up again? But I think Star, he's going to have to go long with that damage, which in Singapore is going to be an absolute pain. He started on the hard tyres, but unfortunately for him, he's going to have to go very long with that damage. I think, has Berlin survived without damage? I think so, but Ty Get on Xbox certainly didn't. Did Kodamatic did survive without the damage, as Rio back side by side with Nis, and into the wall goes Rio, and damage for Rio as Cookie goes through, and Rio having a coming together with Nis that just seemed inevitable. Those two were side by side for so long there, and Rio ended up going wide into the wall, and I'm sure Rio going to be furious with Nis as Nis leaves the road up ahead of Cookie, as Trixie now has the lead at 2 seconds. But will Cookie now get ahead of Nis, who's going recharging the battery here out of turn 5? Cookie going to try and get ahead of Nis if possible, who seems to be parking it here, defending for his teammate. Is Cookie going to dive it down the inside? Cookie side by side with Nis, and Cookie could get through his side by side. Nis and Cookie going still side by side, and around goes Cookie! Around goes Cookie! And damage for Echo, major damage for Echo, as Cookie rejoining the racing line. And terrible racing here in Singapore. Major contact between multiple drivers, and Nis at the head of all of the drama. 2 drivers he's been battling with, and 2 drivers in the wall with damage. I think Cookie may have recovered, but will Nis end up with some penalties coming his way? Will Cookie get some pens? Will Rio? Who knows? The stewards will definitely have a look after the race. Meanwhile, Hassan on the rear of Echo, who's carrying some damage, will probably certainly have to box here, commit to a 2-stop, and get the front wing fixed on the McLaren. Echo yet again just having such an unlucky time of things, as Hassan right over the rear of the McLaren driver. Can he get through on the McLaren into turn 1? Surely Echo's going to have to back out of this battle as Hassan gets through. Echo carrying the damage there as Echo through, and Ty clear out of the race, and that could be a safety car, and it's a VSC. Ty, I don't know how he's bent it there. May have had damage like we seen Cookie doing in qualifying. Everyone's missed the pit entry, so the VSC will not benefit anyone out there currently. A lot of the drivers who do have damage are going to hope that they do have that the VSC does stay out a bit longer, because it'll mean that they can get in and get their damage fixed. I've turned the sound alerts back on, but Zamba, if you're listening, please do not spam them, or I'm gonna have to turn them off again, and we do not want that. But sound alerts are back on, gents, as we've got the VSC out. Lots of drivers out there with damage, and hopefully the VSC stays out long enough that they can actually get it fixed, but I doubt it will. And who will benefit from this VSC restart, we will see. As will it be going green soon?
I am stupid.
As Nis heavy on the brakes, and Rio with a lovely overtake, as Nis had to get so hard on the brakes to stay under the delta, and Rio timed it beautifully, and up into P2 goes Rio despite his end plate missing. He now gets ahead of Nis after Nis had to get so hard on the brakes under that VSC restart, and now Nis will have Cookie for company as well, but Rio with the damage. How well can Rio hold on to this? Rio's probably going to be hoping for a safety car as he leaves the track there, and that's not going to help him at all. The damage really hurting the Mercedes driver. And I'm sure the steward's going to be busy after this race. But it's a decent outing for the Saubers in P8 and P9, and a couple drivers ahead of them carrying some significant damage, as Nis now on the rear of Rio as Rio tries to get in touching distance from Trixie again, and Rio almost a snap as he tries to get back inside DRS range from Trixie. If he can, I would be beyond impressed, because he has right plate end plate damage, but he's still making inroads on Trixie's time as Kodamatic gets through on Get On Win, and Cody through on the Red Bull driver as they battle over P14. Points go down to P16, so all these battles do matter here. As TJ now in the rear of Akko, who's still carrying the damage, and does Rio have DRS here? He's so close, is he? Does he have the rear wing open? As he holds onto the rear of the V-Carb, Hitman with a penalty here, and Rio doesn't have the rear wing open, but he's really closing to Trixie here despite the damage. As Ali now on the rear of TJ, who's been unable to get ahead of Akko. Star gets ahead of Gordon despite Star's damage. Very impressive driving from Star here, so he goes very deep, which might invite Gordon back through again, who's right on the rear of the Williams, as Rio back inside DRS range from Trixie. What racing from Rio! I don't know how he's carrying that damage, especially at Singapore, such a difficult track to deal with damage, and he's doing well here back inside DRS range from Trixie. Unbelievable scenes for Rio to get back inside DRS there, as Ali now on the rear of TJ. TJ, can he get ahead of Akko? Akko carrying some significant damage on that McLaren, as Ali right on the rear of the Mercedes. Will he look for the move? He might do. As Akko, TJ sends it on Akko. Ali looking for the switchback. We're 3 wide. Please don't be 3 wide. Akko backs out smartly. Wants to survive. This is contact between Ali and TJ. And Akko watching this battle along as Ali gets through into P7. And thankfully everyone survives as Star joins this battle. And we're absolutely nose to tail here battling over P6. TJ leads the way. Akko in the battle with the damage. Star involved here as well. Star might send it on the inside here. Now he's going to be more patient. And Gordon also in this battle as well. Wants to get through. Both Akko and Star carrying some significant damage. But who can get through? Is that Ali down the inside of TJ? And Ali through. As that TJ's around in contact. And it's a big, more damage for many drivers involved. Akko with more damage. I think Star involved again. And again, more spins costing drivers dear here. And will anyone come into the pit lane? Star is going to come in, which I think is the smart move. Has to commit to the 2-stop and fix that damage. I think it'll help him in the long run. Meanwhile, Rio doing so well on his damage as well, as I think the remainder drivers inside the top 4 are free without damage. Hassan in no man's land up in P5. Gordon ahead of Star. Can he get ahead of Akko? Is Cookie actually ahead of Nis as they go side by side, and Nis cooks the rears after contact with Cookie. And was there another steward's incident there? I think we're going to have about 90 after this race as Star onto the medium tyres, and he's down the order, but will have his front wing back as Skeefy gets through on Thori into P14. But what a dramatic race this has been already, as Rio right on the rear of Trixie, and considering Rio has damage, he's doing absolutely wonderfully out here for the Mercedes team. And I would expect the hards now to start outperforming the mediums, but we really haven't seen that yet with the Red Bull of Cookie and Nis battling so hard. Can Hassan get back into this battle? We'll wait and see. But Rio doing expertly here in Singapore. He did say Singapore was his best track, but I thought the damage may hold him back slightly, but he's doing so well out there. But Cookie now closing on the Mercedes. Can he see an opportunity on the horizon as Cookie goes a little wide through one, but right on the rear of the Mercedes? Can he sniff an opportunity as the rear steps out a little bit on the Mercedes. But can the Merc put some pressure on Trixie? Will Cookie put pressure on Rio as Rio goes a bit wide and Cookie right on the rear as Cookie goes to the inside and Rio almost pushes him to the wall as side by side they go. More contact between the Mercedes and the Red Bull. Side by side they go. Rio and Cookie forcing each other off again. Cookie back down the inside as we head through the right-hander, and this has probably got a beautiful angle of this as Rio keeping it through, and Cookie with the switchback as Nis tries to dive through the gap. But what mega battling up at the front here. They're absolutely throwing the cars at each other, and Trixie, I'm sure, is glad that they're battling this hard because it allows him an opportunity to escape outside of DRS range. But they're battling ferociously here. Rio, Cookie and Nis, strong championship rivals last season, and they've resumed their battles this season again. And Rio, is he back inside range? Can Cookie go for a late send on the Mercedes? Down into the chicane. Is he close enough behind? Rio goes defensive as Cookie tries to shape for a move. Rio goes deep though. Can it allow a switchback through the final corners? Cookie round the inside of the next corner. Side by side they go. Cookie, and Cookie's around, and Rio involved, and this off of the wall. 3 of the top 4 off in the wall. And major contact between Rio, Cookie and Nis, and Hassan has been gifted a position here in the Alpine. An absolute demolition derby here in Singapore. Absolute carnage, and Trixie has been gifted a massive lead here in Singapore. Trixie 4 seconds now. Rio with big damage in the background. Cookie loses it at turn 5, and it's a safety car. Full blown safety car. That's going to save so many drivers' races, including Rio Harris, who will get his front wing fixed. But Cookie out of the race. Unbelievable. So much contact, and the stewards are going to be busy. We might see 3 drivers with race bans after this one, because this was absolutely insane. So many drivers with damage in this race so far, and thankfully now the safety car gives them an opportunity to get their front wings fixed and more. But dearie me, perfect for the medium runners here. They'll get on hards to the end here. The hard runners have been a bit stiffed. Hassan, who has been just calm and cool and collected the whole race, up in P3. Meanwhile, Star exits the box ahead of Stephen. Hitman into the box and out now onto a lap old hards, and Stephen may have to come in again, but at least they're making sure that they're not lapped. As Trixie into the box, Rio into the box. We'll stay with Rio to see, does he get his front wing fixed? Does Nis have any damage as well? He does. Left end plate gone on the V-carb. And front wing waiting for Rio, is it? No front wing for Rio.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the
And
pack.
front wing is waiting for Nis. I think that's a mistake from Rio. I think he shouldn't have. I think he should have got his front wing fixed. Nis has got his front wing fixed, but will need to box again in this race. But at least he'll have a front wing to use some strong pace here. Ali onto the mediums, Mallard onto the hards. He's been promoted up a significant number of positions. TJ up in P7. He'll be able to go to the end. So will Echo, Berlin and Cody. The Mercedes are in a strong position here. A couple of drivers, the likes of Hassan, Nis and Ali, won't be able to go to the end on the mediums. But we will see how this one pans out. Star ahead of Skiffy. Skiffy exits the box. Stephen makes the right call, going on to another set of hards. And Hitman also on a fresh set of hards. The Ferraris can get back into this race. And the likes of Hassan, Nis and Ali have got to have a really strong safety car restart and cut their way through the field. The only driver who's really on their own island here is Gordon in who is leading the race but is on 11 lap old hards. He wants to extend a bit longer before he goes on to the mediums. As MB says Sauber for overall championship, and after MB won for Tier 2 yesterday in Silverstone, Sauber looking very strong, but unfortunately Gordon is going to have to box in this race, and Ali will as well, so they're P1 and P6 at the moment, but do have another pit stop in them. I think Trixie is in the best position for a win here, as Hassan and Nis are going to come in now for hard tyres. Which I think is honestly the right move to get the pit stop out of the way now. I do think that is the right move for both Hassan and Nis. But into the box goes Skeefy for a set of mediums. That's a bit strange. I mean, Skeefy's going to have to go on to another set of hards. Bit strange decision there, as Gordon, I think Gordon's stuck between a rock and a hard place, kind of. Have you got any fun facts about Singapore while we're under safety car? Fun facts about Singapore. I have a friend from Singapore. What is his name? Let me find his name. I have a friend from Singapore. Also, Haters lived in Singapore for a month or two. Let me find this guy's name. He might have left my server. We'll see if I can find him. But back when I used to stream, it's Sean Tan. Sean Tan, good friend of mine. Lives in Singapore, has been to a couple of races. He used to watch my F1 Manager streams all the time. So anytime we see Sean, we just think, what a legend. But unfortunately, Sean is not here. As Legend says, what's your favourite type of cake? And mine is a Swiss roll, like a freshly baked Swiss roll. As we chat about Swiss roll, the race is about to roll on again, as Gordon's going to get us safety car restarted here. As Trixie going to try and time his restart, and the gap between the field is already quite close, despite Gordon bunching up the pack pretty closely here. As Trixie into turn one, may look for the move on Gordon. Side by side they go at turn one, and Gordon keeps it just ahead of Trixie, but Trixie all over the rear now, as Rio going to try and get involved in this battle as well. Gordon on the much older hard tyres is going to not really be able to defend this too well, and Trixie already through as Gordon goes a bit wide, may open the door to Rio. Aras now on the rear, as Rio going to get through. Side by side he goes with Gordon down to turn 5. Rio already ahead, as Gordon going to filter him behind, and Ali looking on the rear of his teammate Gordon, but Gordon keeps ahead now as Nis, a Star all battling in the midfield. Nis gets ahead of Hassan, Star through on Thori, and Gordon down the order, and Gordon losing out to Ali and TJ as Mallard involved here, and they just need to survive. Zacho on the rear almost pushing Mallard through, and Mallard up in P5 having a very strong out, and Gordon backs out as Zacho gets through. And a reminder, Mallard and Echo can go to the end here, so they're up in very high places at the moment. Ali will need a boxy in, so Mallard could be looking at a P4 or even a podium as things stand, with knowing Nis. Rio, and into the wall goes the Red Bull. Coda, Matic and Get On Win have been involved in the wars so much this race, and Coda and Get On Win, more contact between these two, who have been battling ferociously so far. As Echo now on the inside of Mallard, side by side they go into the chicane, leaves the track, does TJ, and Ali gets through into P2. That's Rio leaving the track, Ali up into P2, as Rio now down to P3. Trixie clear down the road, Echo into P5. Rio will see how he handles the damage until the end. Will TJ look for a move up into P2 as Nis through on Berlin, but sends it deep, and leaves the track there. Star right on the rear of Berlin, going to look for the exit. as he heads through the right-hander. Star and Berlin side by side they go, and Berlin almost forced off into the wall, and Hassan gets the switchback on Berlin here. Can Thori mount a challenge as well as Ness on the rear of Gordon, and contact from Ness. Damage from Ness there as Gordon gets punted in the rear. Star dives it on the inside of, as Berlin dives it on Thori or Hassan. I can't even quite tell what's happening at the moment. Big damage there for Ness as he punted the rear of Gordon, and Gordon losing out to Hassan as well. And Gordon just been absolutely swallowed up here. But not sure what happened there between Gordon and Ness there. And Berlin into the rear of Gordon as well. Everyone just keeps hitting the rear of Gordon. They don't realise he's on older tyres, and thus is just going a bit slower as Berlin going to get through on Gordon now as well. And Gordon struggled massively on these older hard tyres. Meanwhile, Rio still in touch and distance from Ali as Gordon losing out to Thori now. And the Sauber continues to drop here. I know he wants to extend to get to his medium stint, but I wonder is he losing more time by doing it this way? We'll have to wait and see. As Godzilla through on Gordon as well. Hitman on the rear of the Sauber as well. As Gordon losing the rear, can't find any grip. As Star and Nesev battle here. Star as Ness hits the wall. Star, DRS enabled on the Williams, is in behind. We've got Hassan watching this battle along. Star going to get around the outside. Hassan's going to follow him through, and Ness lets Hassan go. Meanwhile, Rio still holding on to the rear of Ali. Stephen Beecham getting ahead of Gordon now. And Gordon absolutely dropping like a stone throughout the entire pack. As Rio still holding on to DRS from Ali. Can he use it as a slingshot to get inside DRS range from Trixie? Ali trying to get inside DRS range from Trixie as well here, as Hassan on the rear. Star, but maybe made a mistake through turn 14. He was just a tenth behind the rear of Star. Star now almost on the rear of his teammate Mallard. Up in P6 now, but can Star get ahead of Mallard? And Mallard play a bit of the team game, helping Star hold up the drivers behind. We'll wait and see. But an absolutely chaotic race it has been here in Singapore. Many dramas here. Star picks up a time penalty. That could be brutal for the Williams driver. Has Hassan now all over the rear of Star. And can Hassan work his magic on the Williams driver? Star flashing on the rear. Hassan going to lock down the inside of the Williams driver. And Hassan through on Star. Star looks for the switchback. Can he find it? Cook in the rear is the Williams. Is into the rear. Goes Ness punting the rear of Star there. But just about surviving. Meanwhile, Akko on the rear of TJ. And Akko has got to think about managing these hards to the end. Akko on pad, so it's going to be a bit harder to manage the hards than the likes of TJ and other drivers, because wheel, it's just so much more easy to manage your tyres on wheel. As Rio putting pressure on Ali, but is he close enough to make a move on the Sauber driver? As Rio going to look on the outside of Ali, but Ali defending into the chicane. Akko gets through on TJ into P4 now as the McLaren driver looks for his first podium in what has been many moons for Akko. He's been so unlucky this season, and last season was unlucky in round one, was unlucky all of last season, but now is in a very strong position to get a podium here for McLaren. If he can manage the hards to the end, it'll be a very strong performance for Akko. Meanwhile, Gordon now into the pit lane finally, and onto the medium tyres goes Gordon until the end of the race. Is Rio now back on the rear of Ali, but I'm sure major drama earlier as Rio now on the rear of Ali, still not close enough to making a move. Hassan, can he get onto the rear of Mallard? As Mallard currently P6, Hassan on the rear of Mallard, still not close enough to making a move on the Alpine driver. As Rio now on the rear of Ali, putting pressure on the Sauber, who's just falling further and further back. The mediums aren't really cooking for him at the moment. And Ali will need to box again here. Meanwhile, Hassan in a Williams sandwich with the V-carb of Nis behind as well. And Hassan now trying to plant the throttle on the rear of Mallard. Mallard gets a good exit though, out of the hairpin. A Star shaping for a move, but unable to get ahead. Star does have that extra pan, but he did have his wing fixed earlier, which gives him some extra grip as Hassan now down the inside of Mallard of the chicane. Side by side they go in contact between the Alpine and the Williams. Is Star going to try and get through here as Mallard? Side by side he goes with the Alpine as the Alpine breaks and Star catches the rear of the Alpine. Did Star pick up any damage? He's going to try and get through on Mallard and does just that. Nis watching this battle as Hassan through on Mallard, but did anyone pick up any damage in that kerfuffle? I'm not quite sure. Did Star get damaged there? Contact with the rear of the Alpine. There's been so much drama in the race. Meanwhile, Rio on the outside of Ali. Ali trying to keep it together here as Rio round the outside trying to make this move stick. And down the inside he goes in contact with Ali as Rio trying to make a move. And this battling has been absolutely chaotic the entire race. We might have several drivers with race bans after the race. We'll have to wait and see. As Rio now on the rear of Ali. As D. Summers says it's a destruction derby, WHF style. And it is looking like that as the rain has come out. The rain has landed here on lap 19. How will that spice things up in this race? It's already been too much of a spicy race. As Rio, back on the rear of Ali, switches to the inside of the chicane, but isn't close enough to making a move. Echo closing on the rear along with TJ. And Ali is probably going until the rain gets heavier on the medium, so he's not actually got a bad strategy going for him, does the Sauber driver. Meanwhile, Caudzilla losing out to Stephen Beecham, who gets through on the McLaren reserve. As Skiffy joining this battle, Stephen made a little bit of a mistake, as Kodamatic going to come in very early, and this is what Cody's been hoping for, is the wet, as Skiffy also comes in, or maybe Kodamatic made a mistake, or maybe Skiffy did come in, I'm not quite sure. I got a mix up between the Haas drivers. Rio unable to get ahead of Ali, and now Echo joining this battle as well. As Rio big snap of the rear as the rain's getting heavier. And when will the drivers pick the wet tyres? The Star makes a mistake, opens the door to Hassan, who's been putting the pressure on the Williams driver for so long here. As Hitman defending from Thori. And Hassan now on the rear of Star. They continue to battle. Hassan with 2 laps fresher hards, as these battles have been absolutely furious the whole race. Trixie, who's checked out in front, is so glad he's not been involved in the wars here. And Trixie, after this race, will probably have the championship lead in his back pocket. As Echo now on the rear of Rio. Rio making a little bit of a mistake. He's going to go defensive to the inside as the McLaren on the rear of the Mercedes, but unable to get ahead. As Echo now shaping for a move. Rio struggling with the damage. Will Rio come into the pit lane? Yes, he is. Rio in now. On for Inters, as a couple of drivers staying out now here on lap 21. The Inters have started. Skiffy was the first to bite the bullet onto the Inters. Rio next in. Does Rio fix his front wing though? Is that a consideration? No, Rio stays out with the damage. Who else is coming in here? Stephen in, Kodamatic in as well. As Thori in as well. And with 10 laps to go in this race, this is going to be a spicy ending. Ali, I'm sure, is coming in for Inters, but just when is the question, because those mediums cannot go to the end, so he'll have to come in for Inters at some point. Maybe they don't think the crossover is just now. Rio potentially trying to undercut. As D. Somers says, Skiffy has not been catching, as Gordon ahead of Thori. Echo on the rear of Ali, putting pressure on the Sauber driver, who's doing very well on the first race this season. Ali looking for a podium, which would be such a strong performance, and I'm sure Sauber would be delighted with him, as TJ in the background making a mistake and almost in the wall, but TJ recovering his Nis and Mallard. Nis and Mallard together. Nis and Mallard have had contact, it seems, as they've had a coming together. Nis involved in a battle with Mallard. Not quite sure. We've missed what's happened there, and maybe the stewards will have another look here. But Trixie comes in now for the Inters. He's the leader of the race and comes in. And does Ali come in? Yes, he does. TJ in, Star in, who has stayed out? Mallard in, Nis in as well. Does Nis fix his front wing? Ali, Hassan has stayed out on the hard tyres. Everyone coming into the pit lane now. Where will Rio Harris come? Will he benefit from the undercut here? We'll wait and see. Ali exiting the pit lane now, and Rio about to chuck it through turn one, as side by side he'll be with the Sauber driver as they exit the box, and Rio Harris through on the Sauber. The undercut has worked for the Mercedes driver, and the Mercedes driver now up into a net P2 as all the drivers coming in. Gordon yet to box here as he picks up a 3-second time penalty. Berlin gets a 10-second penalty for crossing the white line, exiting the pit lane. And what carnage this race has been, and still more to happen in this race. Nis down in P12. Did he get his front wing fixed is a question. DRS enabled for the V-Carb driver, and he does get his front wing fixed, does Nis, so Nis will be on a charge until the end of the race, as Hitman now on the rear of Mallard. But Mallard having a strong outing here today, as Hitman having a good recovery drive considering all the wars he's been involved in this whole race. But Trixie looking for his first win in WHF seems to be nailed on unless a safety car comes in. And Hassan surely coming in this lap. How much time will he have lost because of not boxing? We will wait and see. As Nis gets ahead of Gordon. Gordon's got to certainly box this lap, you would think. You do not want to be on the mediums in these conditions. Hassan comes in. Where will he exit, though, is the question. How much time will he have lost staying out that extra lap? As Ali following Rio, Echo following Ali. And can Echo try and sneak onto the podium here as he washes out wide? Big drama there from Echo. As Star now charging on the rear of TJ. He's lost some time in the pit stop phase. And Star now looking for a move on the Mercedes as Hassan exits in P7. As TJ picks up a 3-second time penalty. And now it's an even battle as Gordon retires in the pit lane. It's an even battle between Star and TJ. And into the braking zone they go. Star later on the brakes, and into P5 he goes, and Star, despite being involved in the wars, the DRS finally disabled here as Star gets that move. Get on win with another 3-second time penalty as Berlin and Thori battle, and a lovely switch back on the cards from Thori. Can he get it to stick? Berlin sending it through and goes deep as well as Thori looking for another switchback. Berlin trying his best to defend this battle as Thori losing the rear, and Berlin going deep again, and Thori looking for another switchback on the rear of the Aston, but unable to get ahead. But these two battling hammer and tongs, and I imagine the Tier 1 highlights are going to be a very long one. Ansu, our Tier 1 editor, I'm sure is scratching his head like, oh my god, how much editing I'm going to have to do this race. Way too much is happening. As Hitman on the rear of Mallard, but Hitman still carrying a time penalty, which could give Mallard the advantage in this battle. Meanwhile, up at the front we've got Echo in behind Ali, Ali in behind Rio Harris. As Rio has picked up a 3-second time penalty, running out wide, and that could cost Rio the podium and give Ali his first ever podium in WHF, and Echo his first podium in WHF in quite some time. Echo's not been on the podium in I don't know how long, but now an opportunity for even P2 as Ali and Echo now, their battle is directly between each other because of that Rio Harris penalty. as Get On went through on Skiffy. And Skiffy down to P17 as Berlin picks up a time penalty. Hassan now on the rear of TJ as they're going to battle down into turn 5. Or down into turn 7, sorry. I forget all of the corners on the track. Some of the kinks are named corners as Akko on the rear of Ali. Hassan did get through on TJ. As Akko on the rear of the Sauber. Can he get a move on the Sauber? P2 is on here for either the Sauber Reserve or the McLaren. And this race has been going very well for Ali here so far. But if you'd have told me this is how the field is going to look on lap 24, I would have said, I don't believe you. And Akko now with a 3-second time penalty. Will that hand Ali P2 here? And Ali, who I don't even know if he's ever been inside the top 10 in WHF, is looking for his first WHF podium as Star in P5 has joined the battle. And Star, despite missing round 1, is looking for a big points haul as a couple drivers ahead of him also carrying some time penalties. And if Star can get ahead of them, potentially a podium's on the cards as Hitman gets through, and Mallard making a mistake out of the final corner. It seemed as Hitman through into P8 now as Nis joining this battle, as Nis going to try and get through, and Mallard a little bit deep as Nis now going to try and out traction him through. As side by side they go, Mallard on the inside, Nis on the outside, and Mallard losing out here as Nis dives around the outside. Can Mallard get back ahead of the V-Carb as he's flashing on the rear? And Mallard looks around the outside as Nis keeps it ahead of the V-Carb driver. But absolutely sensational racing throughout the whole field as Godzilla now on the rear of Stephen Kudomatic, who won in dominant fashion in Tier 2, has the rain now in his favour. And what can he do later on here as he clips the rear of Godzilla? Going for an audacious move, went down to neutral, which is going to allow Get On win through on the inside if he can keep it. Side by side goes Cody and Get On win, and Cody going to try and keep it ahead, and the Haas driver just about survives here. Absolutely in the wars. This has not been a race, this has been a war all race, it seems. Trixie is the only driver to really avoid all the drama, and I'm pretty sure Trixie is going to be loving life to avoid all the drama here. But here on lap 26, Ali now 1.4 behind Rio. Can he stay inside 3 seconds from the Mercedes driver? That's all he needs to get P2 in this race. And I'm sure Ali would be absolutely ecstatic with his finish. It would be by far and away his best finish in WHF. He's been nowhere near that in his races so far. As Nis now on the rear of Hitman as he has a big snap into turn 1 as he avoided the track limits there. As Hitman in P8 here, but carrying the pen, which could cost him here. Mallard holding on to the gap, which may hand him a position. Kudomatic with the 3-second time penalty. As I think we've seen a snap of the rear from someone there. I think it was Hitman as Nis gets through on Hitman. Hitman making a mistake there. And he may look back down the inside of Nis as Nis going to keep ahead of the Ferrari. But Ali now dropping a bit back from Rio. Is he coming under the pressure from Akko and Star? And could Rio still get P2 here? Star wanting to get involved in Akko into the wall. Does Akko have any damage into the wall? He went to the McLaren drivers, the Williams of Star, trying to find a way through on Akko. And Akko feeling the pressure of Star breathing down his neck and down into turn 14. Star's a little look on the inside, Akko keeping it ahead, but can Star get through? And Ali gets a 3-second time penalty. That will give P2 back to Rio Harris as Star back into the chicane, gonna look on the inside, but is he close enough? Not again. And Rio back up into net P2. But an absolutely dramatic race. Still 5 laps to go in this one. And who will finish on the podium? We're yet to see as Akko chucking it through the left-hander. Starr going to try and put pressure on the McLaren. And David through on turn 5. Oh, we switched the wrong bloody car as Nis picks up a 3-second time penalty. Starr and Echo go side by side down to turn 7. And Starr has made the move stick on the McLaren. The McLaren unable to defend from the Williams any longer, and the Williams now looking for his first podium of the season. After Starr's dramatic opening, I'm sure he wasn't thinking that this was on the cards. But after battling his way up now, if he can get ahead of Ali, a podium on the cards for Starr here. But here in lap 27 of 31, it's been an absolutely insane race. And all this battling is helping Hassan creep his way back into contention for a potential podium here. If Hassan can get inside the range, could sneak ahead of all these drivers, but he needs some pace to catch until the end here. Does he have the pace at hand for the Alpine debutant? We will see. Cookie crashed out at turn 5, DZ Racer. He got damage after contact with Rio Harris, and then into the wall he went to turn 5 but on his own as Hitman down the inside of TJ, and a lovely move from the Ferrari as Mallard involved in this battle as well. As Hassan picks up a 3-second time penalty, and look at the bucket of penalties from P2 to P9. And Hassan could have benefited from keeping it clean on track, but now will no longer, as Stephen Beecham picks up a penalty as well, as Codzilla battles with the Ferrari. Kodomatic going to look down the inside of the Ferrari as well, as Kodomatic forces Stephen off track. The Red Bull, a little bit of damage, or a little bit of contact with the rear of Stephen, as well as Stephen drops down a place as Stephen into P16. As Codzilla now on the rear of Thori, who leads this train. Mallard on the rear of TJ as they battle over P9. Meanwhile, Starr hops the sausage curb, which you don't really want to be doing on his charge to try and get a podium here, as he is on the rear of Ali. As down the order we go, Get On Win and Kodomatic battle again. And can he find his way through, as Cody still searching for a battle, as Get On keeps it through, as Mallard on the rear of TJ will benefit, may even jump ahead of Hitman as well, but P8 is the best Mallard can hope for. Meanwhile, Starr, with 3 laps to go in this race, can he find his way past the Cyber driver of Ali? As Gordon's left the session, Skeefy now has joined the battle for the points. Points go down to P16, so Skeefy could be picking up points here for Haas, with Stephen Beecham with the penalty potentially missing out here. Meanwhile, the battle for the podium rages on, as Trixie has checked it up front, as TJ picks up another penalty, which essentially guarantees Mallard the place, as long as Mallard can keep it on the road here. But here on the third final lap, can Starr shape for a move on Ali. Echo looks to be dropping a little bit back from the Williams, as the Williams desperately trying to find some pace, but Ali driving beautifully here, looking for his first WHF podium. As Mallard still on the rear of TJ, but I don't think he's too concerned about getting the move on track, because he knows he'll have that position regardless. I think Mallard more worried about making sure he finishes within 3 seconds of Hitman, as Kodomatic also on the rear of Get On Win, as they all battle for position, but Skeefy may be promoted ahead of all these drivers here, as Mallard leaves the track and gets a 3 second. I mean, TJ already has another 3 seconds. I don't think it'll matter, but Mallard with a silly late mistake here as we're about to start the penultimate lap, and we have with Trixie, but Mallard yet to start it as Star now on the rear. Echo with another time penalty. That may hand Hassan a position here. As Star all over the rear of Ali as the battle for the podium rages on. Can Star shape for a move on the Sauber? The Sauber looking for his first podium in WHF. Hitman picks up another time penalty, which may help Mallard gain a position. Star on the rear of Ali, but not close enough to making a move. Can Ali get his first podium? Will Star get one here for Williams, who've had a torrid start to the season in the OCC? As Ali goes a bit deep, Star really applying the pressure on the Sauber. Can he find a way through? As Ali squirreling on the rear and Star all over him. Can he shape for a move? Ali defending so well here. Star just unable to get the key traction points as Ali on the rear of Rio. And Star, as we start the final lap, we're going to keep an eye on Trixie as he crosses the line, but this is the battle we want to see. Star on the rear of Ali. Can he shape for a move? Ali doing so well to defend. Thank you for the raid scones you've joined here on the final lap as Star searching for the podium on the rear of Ali. Ali looking for his first podium in WHF, which would be an absolutely sensational drive if he can defend here, as Star desperately trying to get through on the Sauber. And he only has a couple more moves in his locker that he can potentially use on the rear of the Sauber. But as we charge down to turn 7, can he go for a late send? Ali, I think, has done enough to defend on this occasion. Could Ali be even looking on the rear of Rio Harris as well? Is Rio faltering with his damage?
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
As Star on the rear of Ali, unable to get ahead. Could he work his way past? Is Rio struggling now with the damage and the tyre wear seeping in? And this could be last chance saloon for Star. Gonna nail the exit here to get ahead of the Sauber, but I don't think he has it. I don't think the Williams has done enough, and I think Ali may have it. We'll keep an eye, but we're going to move up to Trixie, who has been having the most comfortable race of his life, and Trixie now rounds the final corner and wins in WHF for the first time. A major win for Trixie, won in comfortable fashion. He avoided all the drama. Meanwhile, Rio Harris will finish in P2. Ali in P3 as he crosses the line, may get his first podium in WHF, and yes he does. He finishes at a Star as Eka will drop behind Hassan, who gets P5 on debut. Nis into P7, Hitman into P8. Mallard gets out of TJ as Berlin joining this battle as well, but Hitman into P8. Will Mallard jump him? I'm not quite sure.
Hello there.
Hitman stays ahead. Thank you for the follow, Hassan. Welcome into the stream. TJ, Berlin will finish down the order. Thori will finish P12. Get on win on the rear of Thori, but unable to get ahead through the final corner. As Thori finishes P11, Godzilla jumps to P12. Skifi to P13. Stephen, I believe, the P14 maybe? We'll have to have a look through that again. As Ollie B in the chat says Williams. As Ho Chi Minh says Alpine P5. Alpine my goat, as love my controller disconnecting, as Trixie goes to celebrate. Driver of the day goes to Star. Fastest lap goes to Ali, along with the podium.
No heroics into Sandoval, please. We're in amongst the pack.
And there we have it. Trixie with the win, ahead of Rio and Ali. As we'll get the race director in, which I'm sure may be needed after all the contact involved. in that race. I'm sure the stewards are going to be very busy. As Star in P4, Hassan in P5. We've got Echo in P6, Nist down to P7, Hitman P8, Mallard P9, TJ P10, Thori, Godzilla, Berlin, Skeefy, Cody, Stephen, Get On Win, Gordon, Cookie and Ty out of the race. Absolutely chaotic racing. But an absolutely dramatic race there. And we'll see if we can get some of the drivers in for some race interviews. Let me invite them to the party if possible. But absolutely chaotic race in Singapore. Welcome in, Star. You were battling there for P4 and unfortunately able to get it in the end, but that was mega racing. How'd that race go for you, Star?
Canada 2011.
Yeah, it was given those sort of vibes. That's one of the most chaotic races we've had in quite some time. But you had a pretty much an awful start. You got involved in some contact, had wing damage early, but were able to fight your way back up to P4 and even looked like a podium could have been on the cards. But how was it to try and battle your way through the pack?
It wasn't too bad. I mean, I don't think I overtook that many people on track anyway. It was more just... I mean, I would say a good strategy, but obviously not because wing damage twice. But yeah, it could have been a lot worse, could have been a lot better, but... End of the day, it was an extra pit stop, but the rain saved me in the end because I don't think my dry pace would have got me fourth. So, can't be mad.
Well, a very good result for yourself, Star, as we'll move on to Ali. Ali, your first podium in WHF, what a drive. How was that for you?
Yeah, it feel good, it feel good. It feel very good, to be honest. I started in different strategy, I started in the hard. The rain helped me at the end because I was in the medium in that start. But good pace. I think I was faster than the Mercedes a little bit. But the air is so big. Behind me was so far behind me because he was faster than me, I think. Start. It's a good fight. It's good fight. Was a good battle with the Merc before the rain. It was... He tried many dive bomb. No one. But it's good. It's good. It's good fighting. That's we have. That is good. That is good. For a fun race. Thank you.
But how does the feeling of getting a podium there? I mean, I don't even remember where you started that race, but somehow you worked your way up into P3.
I started P10. I think I start P10. I have a go star. I can. P8, I think, in the start, I will. But I know race pace is good. My problem is the quali pace. Quali pace, I struggle a little bit. But race pace is good, it's good. I know my race pace is good. I had the fastest car in the end with medium because I had a tire medium, I think.
Yeah.
I had fast lap. It's good, it's good. The pace, race pace is good. But in the front, I think it's so fast for me. That make me just defend because P1 I think the best result today is the P2, but P3 is good. It's good.
Well, congrats on the podium, Ali, and hopefully we see you next week back on the podium again. It'd be great to see.
Thank you. I hope so. Thank you.
But we'll move on to Rio Harris, who finished P2 in that race, and what a chaotic race it was for you, Rio. How'd that race go for you?
I diffused the floor and front wing damage.
Well, considering you managed it in the P2, still despite all the drama, which I'm sure the stewards will have a look at after the race. But still, a P2. Were you worried about losing the P2 towards the end, or did you think you had it in the bag?
I was fine about that. I'm more annoyed that I've not won the race, considering I was quicker than... I would say I was the quickest one back in the dry. Even with the damage, but... I need to stop practicing. When I practice, I get shafted. When I don't practice, I do well. Yeah. And then I get called stupid slurs by Cookie afterwards when he didn't like it to him, so... And then it's the same with how he races others. We did the same to him and he doesn't like it. It's tasted as their medicine. Whatever.
Well, I'm sure we'll see what the stewards say after the race. We'll have to watch the clips back, but congrats on the P2 nonetheless, Rio. As we'll move on. Is Trixie in here? No, I don't think he's joined. Well, congrats to Trixie, even though he's not here. Dominant victory. I'll have to say, Trixie got lucky by avoiding all the carnage, because there was a point where the three drivers behind him were all battling, and they all collided together. And Nis was one of those drivers. Nis, how'd that race go for you? And I'm sure you're upset by the carnage as well.
I just went from bad to worse. It just downhill. I didn't know a race could go that bad. But I made a strategy error for boxing another time for the hards, and shouldn't have done that because the fucking rain came earlier than I thought. So yeah.
I thought you were going into when you pitted.
Nah. It was a weird one. Got wing damage twice from Gordon and from Mallard. So yeah, that was not optimal. So yeah, I'm not looking forward to Baku either. So looking forward to Vegas. Let's say that.
Oh well, hopefully we see some better things from you then. Next we'll move on to Akko. Akko, you had a very strong race there. It seemed like the podium was on the cards at a point there, but unfortunately it just wasn't to be. But how'd that race go for you, Akko, nonetheless?
I really liked that race. I loved it. Coming to the start, a couple of laps of the race, I did pick up wing damage with the carnage between Cookie and the front of the pack. I picked up wing damage. But I managed to keep good pace, managed to keep it in between TJ and just keep good pace, and then I got blessed by a safety car and then made the decision to go into the hards to the end. And without my penalties and with Rio's penalty and damage, when I was sitting in P4, I was hoping for a podium, for my first podium, but obviously with that rain that came, it kind of fucked me up. Done the decision to switch to the inters, picked up a 3-second time penalty, so it was basically a just fight for P3 between the top 3 till 4 or 5. But it was a really good race. It was nice battling with TJ, with Rio and everyone, and a Leo. Well, next week I'm looking really forward to Baku.
Well, hopefully, as we head to Baku, you could finally get the podium that's been eluding you all this time.
It's getting closer and closer.
But I was trying to big you up for the podium, but then unfortunately it just fell away. But hopefully, next time out in Baku, it's on the cards.
Thank you.
I think the next driver to interview is Thorsten, but Thorsten has left, so I think that's us done for this evening. But thank you all for watching. This has been Singapore Tier 1. Round 2, and an absolutely chaotic race where I'm sure the stewards are going to be very, very busy after this one. But anyway, we're going to raid Cloud on our way out. A former driver of WHF who is probably one of our quickest drivers we've ever had. Battled with Cookie back in the day in F1 23, and now is battling with the likes of Estenba, who I'm sure many of you know if you are on TikTok. Also Takubi and Supply Raptor, another one of our former drivers. But anyway, thank you all for watching. If you have enjoyed, please drop a follow, and also make sure to follow Cloud on your way over in the raid. But thank you all for watching, and goodbye.